Hi, welcome back to Wallflowers. So yesterday, doing the shop, I managed to get 3 bundles of fresh mint. So I left them out overnight. I think I better crack on with it today and get them done before they wilt too much. So, as usual, I'm going to take my recycled jars, old mint sauce jars, etc., of the right size. Take the elastic bands off the bundles, and then I need to take the leaves off individually and separate them from the stalks and take away any yellowing or blacking too dried up to use. So I'm going to work my way through that. I'm actually going to use the non-electric chopper that I've already shown you and do some by hand with the knife. So the first stage is wash and heat the jars, get them ready, take all the leaves off and chop the leaves. So when I'm chopping the leaves in here, I'm going to add small amounts of the white vinegar just to give it a moisture really, because otherwise the leaves will just clog around the bottom. So give it a moisture, make it a bit more buoyant, and they should chop better. And that'll be much easier than standing here forever trying to chop these small leaves. So come back when I've got to that point. I've got to the stage where I've taken all the leaves off, and I've put a little bit of vinegar, white vinegar, in the bottom, and I'm just putting the leaves in now. First try. Obviously it's a bit more of a drag because you've got hopefully that's knocked that down to get more in. Obviously it's not as instant as your electric chopper blender, or a bit more instant than standing there with a simple knife going through a little handful of leaves each time. Pour a bit more vinegar on the top. Down at the bottom I'm getting cups, but I think I need more vinegar, and it's going to take me a bit of time. So the original recipe calls for, I'm doing a malt vinegar recipe for this because I prefer the taste of it. I'm out of water with the vinegar. But for chopping in your blender the mint itself, it called for 2 cups of white vinegar. So I'm using the white vinegar for the chopping of the mint, And then for the actual pickle part of the mint sauce, I'm using malt vinegar. The workout, it's warming me up. Now I can see the pieces are getting cut, but it's going to take me a while to get through all this, because when you're using non-electrical items, it's not instant. It's not the instant society that we're used to. It takes a little bit of more perseverance, a little bit more time and concentration on what you're doing. So I'm going to work through this again, and when I've done this bit and I'm ready to make the sauce itself, I'll come back again. So I've finished cutting up the mince, and here you can just see in some of the white vinegar. So the recipe calls for 4 cups of mint, and that actually only equates to 2, so I'm cutting the recipe in half. So with that, I've got 12 ounces of malt vinegar going into the pan. I've got 2 cups of white sugar, and I've got 1/6 of a cup of lime, so you can use lemon or lime. Now, instead of adding the black peppers, I've used a teaspoon of pickle and spice. Now, I wouldn't normally have that, but I picked it up in one of the food initiatives as one of the 7 shelf items, so worked out about 25 pence, 20 pence, if not a little more, but I'm sure they're £2 to £3 in the shop. So I've ground a teaspoon of that in the coffee grinder, and I'm tipping that in as well, and that's just normal pickle and spice. I'm going to bring this to the boil. That was my glasses falling off my head, if anyone wonders what the noise was. You fall on those tiles constantly, I have to wonder they don't break. So as I say, I'm going to bring this to the boil. So as I was talking about recently in one of my videos was about the, let me get the proper title for it, what's it called? It's called the Off-Peak Energy Rebate Scheme. So we know the blackouts are going to come, and they're going to be instilled, but they're also talking about an off-peak energy scheme. So basically what that means is they'll send you a letter, each and every energy company, and they'll ask you to take part in the scheme, which means basically 3 till 7 p.m. or thereabouts, those types of hours. If you use little to none lecky and gas, that they'll refund you a certain amount of money. The dates in the press were for those schemes to have started the 1st of November. So I don't think the major big companies have started just yet. But if you're interested in something like that, give your energy supplier a ring. Ask them what the circumstances are for the off-peak scheme. So basically, types of things you want to ask them is the hours that they require you to use little or none, and get a definitive answer. Is it little? Is it none? Because some of the notes are comparable. So they're saying if you use less than what you normally use, then that's the reduction we're looking at. Now that leaves it open. Less than what? Less than what you'd use in the summer, or less than what you would have used last winter. because obviously we use less in the summer anyway. So, to be expected to use even less in the winter, you're not going to have anything on if you're trying to lower that. So these are the questions you want to ask compared to what. Is it none? Is it little? At what rate are they going to reimburse you for that? Is it making it worthwhile for you to not have any electricity on in those periods of time? And also, what is the turnaround on you actually being rebated for doing that action? Is it automatically going to show in your meter within a week? Are they actually going to send you a check? Are they going to build it up and say it's a yearly allocated thing, a monthly allocated thing? Ask the questions you don't know, and don't just take from them. I don't know. They've got to have a definitive plan. Otherwise, how much are you getting for putting yourself through that every day? 3 till 7 covers most people's tea times. There are people who eat after those times, but generally between 3 and 7 is where we're out preparing that food. Heating the home for the children to get home from work, for the partners to get home from work, finishing off ironing, doing lots of different things. So, yeah, it's apparently started on the 1st of November, and some of them are just beginning to roll it out, or some of them are just looking at rolling it out. So, take a look at that. Okay, so I bring this to the boil, and then I'm going to, once it's boiled, I'm going to lower it to a simmer, and then I'm going to add the mint, and I'm going to leave it simmering for about 10 minutes. So I'll come back when we get to that stage. So at this stage, I've done 4 smallish condiment jars, so mint sauce jars, and filled them up with the mint sauce. And now, instead of canning them, I'm water bathing them. So I'm doing these in my jam pan because it's quite deep. I've put the 4 jars in. The tallest jar I've just covered just about an inch over the top. Now I'm going to bring this to the boil, and I'm going to simmer it for about 15 minutes. That'll vacuum seal the jars. I'll take them out, put them on here, and then cool on the tiles overnight, and then label them tomorrow and put them on the pantry shelf. So 15 minutes to vacuum seal them in a water bath. And then I've got 4 jars. Normally one of those mint sauce jars will last me 12 hours an eye, approximately about 3 months. So that's like a 12-month supply of mint sauce, just 3 bunches. So I'm really happy with that. Mr. Wallflowers often laughs at me if something's only 50p. And he says, on the cheap bars of mint sauce, you can get one for approximately 50p. But I always insist on, if we buy it, it's a Coleman's, and that way it's got the sweet taste as well as the vinegary taste. So, that's a couple of pounds for the mint sauce. So his exaggeration, I'm only saving us £2 here, is not really true. So he doesn't have to go out if I haven't got any and buy me a brand named mint sauce. That'll cost us a couple of quid. So I'm quite happy with that. Thanks for joining us today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.